Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 114, AI-powered Q&A. Matt answers questions about web design, SEO, and more. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello. So today we are going to do something I've never done before on this podcast, on a solo podcast, something creative I'm not sure anyone's done. Oh, come on. I couldn't be the first person to think of this. So let me give you a little background. So we are on social media. We post content daily. We've been doing that for over 2 years with the help of my wonderful VA and assistant that helps me do those things. But we do it. And, we create content together and then it's distributed. And so we've been kind of pretty active on social media pretty consistently, day in and day out during the week. We don't do weekends. Periodically, once in a while, Matt decides to fire something off on the weekend, but we don't, we even through the 2 years we've been doing it, we don't got a huge audience. Matt hasn't become like a known, like followed guru by thousands or millions of people or anything, and thank goodness, because I don't have time for that. I always look at people that have big followings. Like, that's a commitment. Actually, I had somebody on my podcast once, and he said he's got a kind of a popular Facebook page or group. And so every night he has to sit down and try to get through because he likes to comment on everything. It's like, that's a lot. You get to a certain scale. Now I have a team, people to help me and stuff, but still, my goodness. Anyway, what I'm saying is that we've been doing this, though, for a couple years, and we have some engagement. We actually have made some great friends. We've been doing networking, and we comment on our friends' posts, and they comment on ours, and periodically we get a random person that joins the fun for a while. And so we definitely have an audience. We definitely get views from Twitter to LinkedIn, elsewhere. Even on Facebook a little bit, we're starting to see some stuff. But still, if you go on like Twitter or you go even LinkedIn, and somebody does a poll, right? You see somebody doing a poll or they ask a question. Some people, that's their whole thing, is asking questions. And sometimes the same questions somebody else asked or they asked last year. But a rotation of questions. I think actually that's probably pretty legit. I mean, it's kind of like an email thing where they go through this rotation of content every year. And that's a whole other conversation. But anyway, they'll get a lot of feedback, a lot of questions, or a lot of, responses to those things. And like I said, we get a couple here and there. It's fine. I've come to terms with it. I may always just be this way. See, it doesn't really matter as long as we're getting the results that make sense for our business. We don't need to have a huge audience. We're doing very well. So, anyway, but I knew, so my VA had this question or this idea to post the question or post 4 questions on LinkedIn and maybe Twitter. Can't remember. But so she asked it. So we created a graphic, ask questions, and then whatever for the description. And I saw it, everything goes through me to approve and whatever. And I'm like, okay. I said, but here's the thing. Probably, based on my experience and having done similar things in the past, probably no one's going to ask questions. And I was correct. I think one or a couple people liked it, but that was it. And that's just my audience. And I have an audience of experienced, entrepreneurs and business owners, and they probably don't have many questions. Or I don't, maybe I don't have a lot of newbies and people with questions following me, whatever. I also don't have a huge audience, right? on these platforms, or anyone that pays attention anyway. So in my point, that didn't happen. So I had to have a backup plan. I said, you know what? If we don't get any questions, which probably won't, I'm just going to have ChatGPT generate the questions. Not just any questions. What I did is I sat down and I prompted, I created a backstory or an exact, I pretty much said, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to act as my audience. I would like you, and I described who I thought my audience was, who people in my audience were, what they did, maybe their personalities. I said that. I said also what I do, what my expertise is in the business I run, and what they might want to ask me. And a few other things to help kind of guide it in the style and all that, right? And I hit generate, and it popped out 10 questions. Not only, and I'm going to show the questions here probably as they come up, but not only did it ask questions like it was coming from, just a regular old person on the internet with a business or whatever, but it like described who that person was. It gave that person a title, and a few of them have names. Only a couple though. I don't know. I think some of them may just be, they're like, I think it's like their business name. So I have some business names and some names. So we are going to have fun today. We are going to go through each one of those. Now, I have to control myself a little bit because I don't know if you know this, but I can talk about topics for a while. So I'm going to try to kind of limit each one to maybe, a couple minutes each to answer that question. And so these are a variety of questions. There are questions from a digital marketing coach, an advertising agency, a random business on the web, a web designer, a developer, so an SEO specialist. So it'll be interesting. How much does Matt know? We're going to find out. So let's dig right into that, shall we? Oh, and by the way, and this is just a note on ChatGPT. So I don't know. I think most people, especially businesses and stuff, are playing with it. But I'm going to tell you, I'll probably try to put the screenshot of this right here. But I said I always treat the chatbot like it's a person, and I always say thank you. And I always say I do that because someday they're going to take over the world, and I want them to think nicely of me, right? That I'm a nice person and they'll be kind to me. That's my idea. But anyway, so it answers, "You're welcome. I'm glad you like the questions. If you need any more help or have other requests, feel free to ask. Good luck with your solo podcast," with an emoticon. I didn't prompt it to even say that. It's like a human. Okay, onward. And I got it all on this is how I take notes now. I abandoned my Rocket books. I now take digital notes. I had an iPad lying around anyway. That's a whole nother topic. Okay, stay on topic, Matt. So, question number 1 from a digital marketing coach. Her name's Alice. Thanks for the question, Alice. She said, "Hey, congrats on your success so far." Thank you. I'm curious. What's your secret to finding and retaining top talent for your agency? That's a great question, Alice. Let me tell you. Let's get serious now. We're going to actually get serious about this. I want to take these seriously, like they're actually coming from my audience. And I hopefully, there's probably people out there with these questions, and maybe they're just too shy to answer or ask them. Anyway, that's a great question, though. I put a lot of work into developing a team. It's taken me over 2 years to build the team I have. And there's about 10 people on my team, 7 full-time, and then a couple stragglers that help me on either part-time or a project-by-project basis. And so it's a team that has, developers, obviously, a designer, graphic designer, a QA analyst now, and a couple of VAs to help me with marketing and content. And and I go through a process, hiring that includes, asking them what their future plans are. Where do they see themselves in a couple of years? And because I want to know if they have staying power, right? Is this a fly-by-night they're going to come in and they're going to work and they're out of here next because they're maybe moving to a different continent or something, or they're just looking for some summer work. Obviously, sometimes that's okay, right? Maybe you just need somebody for a couple months. But for me, I want to build a team, especially in the beginning here. I wanted to build a team that was more permanent. And so we could, they could learn the business and do the things that we do on a day in and day out basis. So that's number one, is kind of the upfront. Upfront, if you're going to get talent, you have to know that they're committed to what you're doing and committed to the project and your business. And then over time, I try to create a culture and try to create excitement around what we're doing. We have a mission. We're helping people. And I do my best to communicate that mission to my team so that there's buy-in. Like, they want to actually affect people's lives and do the things that we're doing too. Like what Matt's doing. My vision for my company has to bleed into the team itself. And so I think that's a big part of it too. I think we're doing great things. They see the successes because they get an inside, scoop, right? They see all the great things and how happy our clients are and what we're delivering and what the value we're delivering. And I think they, any employee or even a contractor wants to be part of a project that is having an impact, and that we operate in a way we don't have a lot of fires, we don't have a lot of issues, and we don't have infighting. And again, maybe that is me too. I set the pace there. My attitude coming in, I'm positive, I'm happy, even when some of my team members are more serious, I'm still in there having fun, but it is what it is. But it's creating a team like that and having them work together and get to know each other. Actually, a number of our team members actually do know each other. They were friends, referrals. So we have actually a collection of people that know each other. So I think that's kind of a good thing too. I always thought that could backfire. What if they in their personal lives have some kind of issue and that bleeds over, but it hasn't so far. So we're good. Hopefully it won't. But no, we're just having fun and creating an environment that's it's fun to come to work every day. I have employees that, they go above and beyond. And I think it's just how I've built that, and it's not just a job. I'm not just handing out tasks. They're becoming part of something bigger. So I think that's a big part of how you keep talent. You're doing great things, and all the things I just said. All right, next one. Digital marketing coach. Hey, Bob. Thanks for the question. As a fellow agency owner. So he's a coach, but he's got an agency. I'd love to know how to handle the delicate balance between customization and scalability in your projects. Well, honestly, Bob, that's kind of an easy one for me. I feel like the more I guess it's maybe to me it's intuitive and makes sense just because the way we do things. But for example, when I'm building out websites, we kind of use our own in-house framework for that, or we try to convince our clients or whatever to use solutions that are scalable. So from the beginning, that is how we architect things. So in the case of WordPress, so we build something, you always build something knowing that, that business could possibly scale up. So you want to build it in a way where you have that foundation, a strong foundation that is extendable, has the ability to add on more custom features, more plugins, whatever's needed over time. You're able to do that. You try to keep things. That's why I like to build custom, is because you can build. It can be more purpose built and lighter weight. So there's not a lot of bloat from the beginning. So you're only building what you need at that time. But again, using things like WordPress or, a lot of frameworks out there, you build it this way and it's easy to scale that up over time. And that question could also bleed into the back end and like the server, how that's set up and how that's scalable. So we have, I use for a number of our clients where I, influenced where they go and where they put their websites. We use my kind of go-to is Liquid Web and Nexus. Nexus is built more for WordPress, but there's cloud servers and there's actually auto scaling. So literally, so some of our clients, they have promotions and stuff. So they might be okay, but then all of a sudden they have this spike. An e-commerce store or something will have a spike of traffic, or they're doing an advertising campaign, and you have to have the infrastructure to be able to absorb that, and that can automatically scale up and down from that perspective too. But overall, you're just going to have that thinking up front and as to how you're going to approach things. And like I said, that's why, sometimes if somebody goes with a Wix or they go with just a random, website with a template that has a lot of limitations, they're not thinking about that. But if you really care about that, you try to build things more custom. So, and make sure there's room for that. And that's in the discussions up front. All right, next one. So next one is web design agency. Is a web design agency. Creative Minds. It's a great name for a web design agency. Hey there. We're big fans of your work. Well, thank you. I'm having way too much fun with this. Can you share some insights on how you manage and prioritize client projects within your team? That's a great question. Hashtag teamwork. How do you manage and prioritize client projects within your team? So we use a project management system, and that does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. We use Trello. We're at Atlassian. We use Trello and Confluence and Bitbucket. But everything, even when we're working with partners, digital marketing agencies and stuff, where they have their own systems. Like we have an agency that uses Teamwork. We have an agency that uses Basecamp. We have agencies that just like to use email for whatever reason. Or they might have a system, we just do it through email. But all of that is captured. So you have to have good systems in place to capture all of that stuff and add it into your own system. So even when I get a request from Teamwork, that is being copied into our own system. And in that system, we can see everything high level, right? So everything collectively. Now, it gets crazy. Now, we have a couple dozen boards in Trello. And each board has, some of the boards are just for larger projects. Some of the boards are dedicated to an agency. Some are dedicated to a person or a developer. Sometimes we do that. It just depends on someone's role and what we're doing. So you do have to really lean on some of the features within your project management system to be able to see the things that are of higher priority. So within all these things, okay, we have a tagging system where there's low and medium and high priority. I keep it very simple. I don't know if this will be this way forever, but I've kept it very simple. I have those just three. I have low, which is even rare, but there are low things. Medium, everything's standard. Most things are medium, right? And then high. So the high is, hey, we need to pay attention. This is trumping everything else right now. Sorry to bring up that name. If you got a little PTSD or whatever around that name. Maybe you love them. Anyway, let's not go political. So we do that. And then, of course, you got due dates. So that can kind of control the priority of things. And then I have Slack. We use Slack for all our general communications, and sometimes projects will have their own Slack channel and things. If something's a hyper, like critical priority, it will be probably have a due date. It'll probably say high priority, and I'll also probably put a link to it in Slack, in that person's Slack. And that's, Slack channel, or in even their personal channels. So it draws their attention. So they know the next time, their next shift, they're starting to pay attention to that. So that is really it. And it's just myself, and I got a project manager as well. So she's putting stuff into Trello, and it's just reviewing things on a continuous cycle and making sure that all the priorities are known. You're taking care of them that way. It can get tricky though, but it's about really knowing how to use those tools, really leveraging those tools, and having good help, and everybody's on board with that system. Everyone's on the same page and understands what the different signals are. Those priorities, the tags, and the due dates and stuff like that. There's signals there, and if there's a huge fire or something that's really critical, that everybody knows that drop everything, work on this. So it's the communication, and it's using the tools. Hopefully that answers your question. So an advertising agency. AdWizards. AdWizards, that's a good name. Hey, we've been considering offering website services in-house. Can you tell us about the challenging part of running a web design agency, how you overcome it? So basically, it's somebody that they have an advertising agency and they want to start offering website services in-house. So that's a good question. It can be a challenge, and many agencies fail at this. Because what you're essentially asking here is you're asking to do something that maybe you have some experience. I don't know if you have experience with running a web design agency, or a creative team, or a technical team. But there are challenges around that. If you don't have that experience in-house, you're going to have to find somebody with that experience to lead that, right? You can try to just hire a single developer or a single designer, and start that way, and maybe that person that you train up becomes the person that leads that. But the challenges with that is it's going to be very different running. If you're just providing digital marketing services or advertising or something, you have a different skill set, and it's a different type of person that you're managing. So everyone's different. But a technical team is going to need, it's more technical. And you're going to want somebody with technical knowledge. If you don't have that, if you don't understand programming or web development deeply and stuff, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. I think that's where a lot of people fail. They think they can just go out and they can outsource and find somebody to do a project, and that they're just going to get it, right? They're just going to get it. They're not going to need to worry about following up or detailing it too much, But when you're in-house, you got to think about it. You're going to have to train them. You're going to have a project management system or something to manage that team or that person. So that is a consideration. That's why one of the things that we do as an agency, and this is a problem we solve. So we have started relationships, or we have relationships with agencies that even digital, not even just agencies, companies, where like one example is we have somebody that we started a relationship in January. of this year, a couple months back, and they had an in-house couple developers in-house, but over COVID they had to let them go because of COVID and the way their business changed and so on and so forth. They come out of that, and now they don't really have the desire to rehire and retrain up and build that team or manage that team, and they're very busy. I know they're very busy because the interactions I'm having with them. So they're so busy, they don't have time for that. You got to understand that you have to have time to do that as well. So if you don't have much time, it's going to be hard for you to build out that unit in your company or agency. So sometimes it's worth going and approaching other agencies to help you with that, and outsourcing those things. So that's the answer. I mean, the answer is, well, the question is, what are the challenging parts of running a web design agency? And the challenging part is it's a web design agency. I mean, you're going to be doing it probably for your existing clients, or you're going to probably be leading with your other services, just having that web design agency in-house to build out landing pages and websites and all that for them. So you don't have to worry about the marketing side of that and all that. You got that all in place, but it's just managing that technical team or that creative team that could be the challenge. So you would think about your other options. There's other options out there to outsource that stuff. Okay, random business, the Green Store. Hi, we're a small business looking for a website revamp. Why should we choose a custom WordPress site over something like Wix? So there's, and I'm a little biased here because I build custom WordPress sites. So my thinking there, number one, I don't think if it's my site, and I like to think things from my perspective too. I don't want to build completely on a third party solution where they're hosting it. They got your content. They own everything. Because what happens if they make a change you don't like, or something happens and you're so embedded in them and you can't, you don't have a say in what they just did, right? Also, it's the customization. A lot of these solutions out there, there's limitations in how you can customize it, what you can actually build. Now, for some people, Wix might be fine. If you find a solution that does everything you need and that's all you're going to need for the next 10 years, that you might be okay. Or if you want to take that risk to be on somebody's, obviously, even if you host it yourself, that's still on somebody else's server and somebody's in charge of that, but you have more control over how you back those things up and a lot of the security behind it. And, you can finesse it a lot more. But also, we talked about scalability when we were talking to somebody here about scalability. That was Bob. So that's the other thing here. So you don't know, many of us, when we start a business, we don't know where we're going to be in next year, much less 3 or 5 years. So if you get stuck and this can happen even within WordPress, if you get stuck with a certain page builder or something, or you have 50 plugins that, you're kind of embedded in, and it starts to bog you down. If you don't do it right, and you don't, a custom site will be able to think of those things up front and just by design be a lot more scalable. And again, if you go with Wix, you're kind of stuck there. It's hard to move off of those systems sometimes if you do outgrow it, but if you host your own site, you own your content, you own the code, you own everything, that's going to be one of the big reasons you do that. So is that scalability and knowing that you never worry about that. Of course, there are additional costs and things you got to consider, the cost of the server, and you're going to have somebody that yourself or somebody that's going to know how to maintain it and stuff like that. But hopefully that answers your question. I mean, I have actually been approached by people that need websites, and I've suggested they stick with a Wix or something, and just because they don't have the budget and they got a simple little business, and it's going to be fine for them for now. But especially if you've got an e-commerce store and things like that, there's more considerations there. Okay. SEO specialist. SEO specialist, keyword guru. Hey, great work on your projects. Thanks. Do you have any tips on incorporating SEO best practices into your custom WordPress sites? Now, the beautiful thing about WordPress is out of the box, it's already kind of architected in a way that's pretty solid on the SEO side of things. But what you're going to do is you're going to use an SEO plugin along with, is one of the essential plugins. So every time we build a site, there's essential plugins. We don't want to do too many. We don't want to get crazy with plugins. We want to keep it as limited as possible on the plugin side. And that's just, if you don't know WordPress, it's just something that extends the functionality of your site. So third parties will have plugins, you install it, and it'll give you different functionality and things like that. So essential ones like, maybe a contact form plugin and a cache plugin and an SEO plugin. And most of the time it's going to be Yoast. Yoast's SEO plugin is really good. And you might just install it and use kind of baseline stuff, or it can get really involved. But that's really going to have a lot of the best practices built right into it. You of course have to be using also a theme that is going to automatically build out a structure that is good on the SEO side. So we're talking about on-page stuff here, or on-site. So you have when you read up on SEO, there's a certain structure to a document that you want to follow. Your H1 tags, H2, H3, that hierarchy. You want to make sure that that content is structured well, and using best practices on the HTML side and all that. So you want to make sure that the search engines can understand the page and the content and that hierarchy and all that stuff. What's important, what's not important. Also, there's other things to this though too. There's performance. You have to make sure that especially if you're working with somebody that's building you a custom site, that they understand the importance of performance and speed. You could get a theme out there that's bloated, or a developer out there that decides to install like 50 plugins to get everything done, and it starts to slowly, slow your site down. I've worked with quite a few clients over the years that have had speed issues, and it's hard to overcome sometimes when you're working with an existing site. So if you can build it from day one with SEO in mind and speed in mind, you're in better shape. But there's plugins out there that can help with speed, and that's what that cache plugin's for. But there's other performance plugins and ways to optimize your site for speed. So those are things you want to think about as well. So yeah, in terms of best practices, you can read lots about best practices, but online with SEO. But ultimately, you just want to make sure that when you're building a site, things like performance and speed have been thought of. And those conversations have happened, or it's in the documentation. If you're using a third-party theme, that it's fast and lightweight. Look for those words. Okay. Advertiser, Marketing Maestro. Marketing Maestro, nice to meet you. Howdy. I've seen your agency grow rapidly over the past few years. And any advice on how to build effective strategic partnerships to expand our reach? That's a great question. Strategic partnerships is actually an amazing strategy. And one of the ways you do that is really through networking to start that. I think that's how we did it pretty much. It's just networking and talking to people and getting yourself out there. And how to build effective strategic partnerships to expand our reach. I mean, when you say effective, because I suppose there's non-effective. So yeah, I mean, you have to find partners that fit you, fit your culture, fit what you do. There has to be a good synergy there, right? And that's only going to happen through conversations. So the first time you talk to somebody, you meet somebody, you're going to have a meeting. You're going to know right off the bat if you can kind of get along. But then through conversations, and then maybe through a couple test projects, or working together for a little while, you're going to know if you're a good fit for them. Sometimes it's just natural and you snap right into place. For us, what you want to do is you want to find people that complement you or from that perspective, but also that extend what you do and provide additional value to what you're doing. When you're talking about us, like as a web design development agency, what are we trying to do? Now, sometimes we actually partner up with other web design development agencies, but even in those cases, we're doing something they don't do, right? We bring something to the table that they can't provide. In one instance, we work with an agency that are very successful. They've been around for a long time. They've got a big team. They even have pictures of them with Gary Vee. They did some stuff with them a few years back. So, they're well established. That's my point, right? So we hooked up with them because they have a very specific model on how they build out sites and manage content for their clients and what they do for their clients. But anytime it goes outside of that, they don't want that. So they come to an agency like Matt and say, you know what? If it's outside of the scope of what we do, they'll give that to us. Or we'll work together. Sometimes it might be working together, like we worked on a project in December, working together where they're doing a part of it, we're doing the other part, the more technical stuff or whatever. Depends on what it is. And that is a beautiful relationship. We have another agency where they have an in-house front-end team and actually back-end developers, but they work in other things other than WordPress, or they have more experience in other things other than WordPress. So they needed, when we came in, we became the back-end WordPress guys, basically. And those that we can do more technical stuff. We do integrations. We've moved databases. We moved like a .NET kind of environment database to WordPress WooCommerce. That was a huge project. It was a large manufacturer. There are a lot of products, like 13 or 14,000 products with variations each. It was fun. But they bring us in for that, right? They bring us in to, because we're the experts in WordPress and we can make that happen. We can work with APIs. We can do all that stuff. So that is what you want to look for. You want to look for agencies that there's good synergy there. There's something that you can help each other with. There might be, a digital marketing agency that they just do marketing. They just do advertising, but they need somebody to help them improve their clients' websites, or maybe they get a client and their website's not that great. They need to redesign it. They need some landing pages. That's the type of thing that works out really well. So you look for strategic partnerships in that you're looking for somebody that in a strategic way complement you and help you do more business, right? So those are my examples. Web developer, code magician. I could use a code magician around here. We got a couple of them. We need more. Code magician. Hey there, fellow web design enthusiast. How do you keep up with the ever-changing? Isn't it amazing? Like ChatGPT. It's all about how you prompt them. You can tell them how you want it, the results to look. So this didn't happen by accident. Hey there, fellow web design enthusiasts. How do you keep up with the ever-changing world of web design and ensure your team is up to date with the latest trends and technologies? Great question. So that is, you have to create an environment of learning and encourage your team members, your team, your company to always be learning. And then also on a case-by-case individual basis, look at, periodically review what each team member is doing and how you can push them forward and challenge them. One of the things I know with any of my members on my teams is that they always want to learn. They always want to grow in what they do and get better at what they do. So you can find challenging projects for them, new things for them to try and do. You can set goals for them. Like I had somebody that came in one of my first employees. And all she did was translate Bootstrap, translate design to Bootstrap. And like ClickFunnels, even ClickFunnels were being translated to Bootstrap to enable more custom stuff for a particular client. And so that's all she did. But in the meantime, since then, the last couple of years, we set a goal. We're going to teach her WordPress. And she's learned WordPress. And she actually just translated her first few WordPress Gutenberg blocks, designs to blocks. So working on her first Gutenberg full site editing theme. So she's always learned. And now she's learning. We're doing some stuff with Webpack and we're doing other things. So always learning. And I think she actually was the one that actually brought in, we're doing Bootstrap. She suggested she wanted to try to use Tailwind CSS. And it's also allowing that, like, make it an open situation, open communication that, come to me. If you got ideas, you want to try something, maybe we can find a way for you to do that. And we're going to work on a test project with Tailwind CSS to see if it's a good fit for what we're doing for a particular client. So it's having that kind of open kind of learning environment. And it's also feeding that in. Like when I find things, even with ChatGPT, I guarantee I'm periodically talking about it and talking about new technologies and things we can do. Somebody suggested we should be doing Webflow. We're now doing Webflow. There's in having people on your team that are eager to learn and presenting you with things, you're presenting them with things, you're throwing things into their yard they've never done before. So that's the thing. It's just having that mindset and wanting to learn and finding teams that you don't want to hire somebody that they just want to do what they're doing today forever. I don't ever want to do anything other than Bootstrap. Okay. Well, I mean, they might be okay. But I guess if you have that niche, and some people are just happy doing what they're doing, but I try to encourage people to learn and continue to learn. Just makes them more well-rounded and able to do more stuff over time. Okay. Web designer, Design Diva. Hi, I'm starting my own design agency. Congratulations. That's awesome. And struggling with pricing. Yes. How did you determine your pricing structure for custom WordPress sites and maintenance contracts? Excellent question. I love talking about pricing. Actually, it was from the beginning. I knew that when I started this agency, back in January 2019, whatever it was, I knew that I wanted to price myself a little higher. So, and I wanted to sell things as packages and a little higher end, right? I didn't want to be building $300 websites. I'd done that, been there, done that. I wanted to, nothing I was going to be doing was going to be less than a few $1,000s, right? So I was going to be building $5,000 or $10,000 websites, whatever. And that is what I established. And I knew one of the reasons also though, is because look at the team I built, right? In order to have a team like that, you have to have good pricing so that when you have a project, you automatically build into the pricing who you're paying, right? If I have a developer working on this project for 2 weeks, what does that cost me? Okay, what do I need to make for a profit on top of that? And where's the cushion in case it goes longer, right? So you have to figure that out. So you got to think about that, like depending on how much you experience, even if you have experience with projects, even now, like I'm off base once in a while. Sometimes I get lucky and it takes less time. Sometimes it takes longer. So you have to kind of get a feel for that and build that into your stuff. So yeah, pricing is important. But the structure I used, I've always had, I still to this day will do some hourly stuff, and some things are billed on, estimated on hourly, but again, it's higher, right? So when I first started out, I was like, I'm going to, charge more than I ever charged before. And I started with like $40 an hour. It's not a lot, by the way. That was me working. Within a year, I was up to 60. Within a year from there, I was probably up to 80. Now we're up to 100 plus. It scaled up over time. As I got work and as we grew, then I increased it. So you don't have to start high. You may, if you need to pay the bills and you need to get work, you might have to start lower. See what you can get and see what the market will allow you to do and what your skill sets allow you to do. You have to be good at what you do too to justify those prices. People that say you should be charging $200 an hour. Are you $200 an hour? Yeah, maybe you should be someday, but everything's very personal. There isn't a one size fits all. Plus I did package pricing because package services, right? Because it allows me to more quickly estimate things, propose things. If somebody comes to me with a full web design development project, for the most part, on a 15-minute call, I could tell them how much it's going to cost, roughly, at least the base cost. But I may also, identify some things that we're going to have to do that is going to be an add-on. And so I'm really good at being able to quickly do that and put proposals together. I'm not spending all week on a proposal because I know my prices. So knowing your prices is really important. But again, it's knowing what your costs are. If you're just a solo person, you might not charge as much. But if you know that you're going to have a full-time developer on this for a month, you're going to have to know that you're building that into your pricing and what you, again, want for a profit, right? So, determine your pricing structure. It depends on what you're offering and stuff like that. Now, maintenance contracts. Now, the way I do that, I'm also pricing them a little bit higher. I'm not trying to, I'm not the agency you go to if you only want to pay $100 a month for somebody to maintain your site. It's going to probably be on average a couple thousand, maybe more. And depending on what it is, the critical nature of what we're doing and what's all involved. So that can scale up, but knowing where your kind of base is important. Whether that's on the hourly side or on the project side, knowing what your base is and what you need to make, what's going to bring in profit. And that may take a little experimentation. It may take you some time and you may lowball it sometimes, and you learn from that and you figure out you may, like I did in the beginning, like people are paying 40. Okay. That was easy. 60. People are paying me 60, 80. Oh, they're still hiring me. So you might over time. Now I grandfather people, but like I actually just did this. I had the last person that was at 60. I had been still doing 60 hourly 60 for this agency. And I just sent them a note. I said, I have to bump you up because everyone else is. And this is, we have to pass on our costs, our team's growing and all this. And they were perfectly fine. They totally understood. So never be afraid to raise your prices. There's a sub lesson for you. So hopefully, how did you determine your pricing structure for custom WordPress themes and maintenance contracts? It's, again, experimentation, deciding what your base cost, what your profit is, what you need, who's all involved with that. If you're going to have a designer, you're going to have, what's that? If you got a full out design process, there's a lot of people involved coming in. I might be coming in. What am I worth? What do you need to make? So, like I said, there's a lot of people out there that are charging way too little. They could charge a lot more and do more, One of the things I looked at, one of the ways I look at it is your clients want you to make enough money. If you're working with a client that's trying to lowball you all the time, trying to get you down in price, that's probably not a good client or agency partner or whatever. But they should want you to be making money because that means you're going to be able to have a dedicated resource or pay more attention to them because you actually can afford to, right? If I have a client that's paying me $5,000 a month and I have a client that's paying me $400 a month for the same thing, who am I going to pay more attention to? That client up there is probably very happy because we're paying a lot more attention to them. Okay, digital marketing agency, Social Butterflies. Social Butterflies, digital marketing agency. They must specialize in social media or something. Hi, we're always looking for ways to help our clients grow. Can you share any success stories of how your custom WordPress sites have positively impacted your clients' businesses? Oh, that's a good one to end on. So, how have we positively impacted our clients' businesses? So, from a purely a custom website perspective, so we have, maybe I can think of a couple examples here. It's just when you build a custom site, even if you take over, so there's an e-commerce store, and we've been helping them for almost 2 years now. And when we got the project, somebody else it was a custom theme built by somebody else. And they didn't do a very good job of building the site. It was they had used a framework that was a mess. Well, it wasn't so much a mess probably when they delivered it, but then developers after them really hacked it and messed it up. It was a mess. So over time, what I had to do is kind of create, and now this is a live e-commerce site making a lot of money. And so it's not just starting over with a new theme, because you don't want to, they rely on SEO. There's a lot at stake. So I had to very carefully over time improve the site, design new things. But we're able to see in a custom site like this, number one, we were able to slowly extract a lot of the bad code and things in that theme that was created. Now I wouldn't be able to do that if it was a third-party theme. Right? If it was on Wix, I'm not going to be able to, if somebody used a bad theme there, whatever, I don't know what you call them, their templates. It may be a little more difficult to extract somebody from a bad situation. But we were able to do that because we had access to all the code. It was our show now. And once we got them in a good place, we took the framework out, we ripped the heart out and replaced it with a standard way of doing things. Then we're able to re-architect it and then slowly improve the performance of that site. And one of the big initiatives for that particular client was to improve the performance on the mobile side especially. And so they have a quicker site, search engines love them more. And so we were able to peel it apart and improve it bit by bit. And there's no limits to the code and how we can restructure that. We have options in terms of different plugins we can use to improve performance. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that, in this same client, a recent project we had is they still had that kind of original. They still pretty much have the original design, although we refreshed elements of it, like sidebars and things over time. But the product pages were the same, and they were terribly done, very basic, not designed for conversions. Because we have custom experience, we have custom abilities, we were able to go in there. They got a good conversion expert. I brought in a copywriter. We all worked together to and then wireframe and build out a new, more robust, conversion-oriented product page. This is WooCommerce. And WooCommerce is tricky, but you got to you can customize it if you know what you're doing. But and I got talented developers on my team, so kudos to them. So we designed it, developed that, and then I gave that to my developers, and we were able to have an absolute custom product pages that is going to impact conversions going forward. It really improved everything. And we're also we're updating other things. So because we're custom, we're able to go in and do anything we dream up. If you want to, if a certain new design or new copy or new layout or whatever is going to help you with conversions, you need that. We don't have the limitations of using a third party. We don't have the limitations that, even like when I mentioned ClickFunnels earlier, a lot of people love ClickFunnels. But I know through personal experience, there are PHP programmers and there are developers and companies that do not like it. They like it because it's quick and people build using it. But to do real custom stuff, there's limitations. You can only do so much. So that's why we were translating them to Bootstrap. But those, because now it's custom, it's in Bootstrap. Bootstrap's just it's a HTML framework. Because it's now there, now you can do anything with it. So really it continues to boil down to that. So you're able to provide a service, provide custom themes I'm looking at my list here. So can you share any success stories of how to custom WordPresses have positively impacted? So, I mean, that's it. It's not even WordPress. It could be anything. Bootstrap. You're giving them the ability to do anything they dream up. And also the ability to integrate anything they want. There's still challenges around that, right? There's still challenges, but the odds are you're probably going to be able to do a heck of a lot more than if you're stuck with, some other very rigid system. And so it's allowed us to do integrations or integrate with APIs or do, redesign things in ways where that customer, that client is benefiting, driving more sales, increasing conversions, and all of that. It's not, custom themes is not something to be scary. It's an investment up front, but ultimately long term, it opens up so many more possibilities. As your business grows, new things come up. It's going to be a lot easier. I mean, you're going to have to obviously rely on somebody that knows how to manage that site and all that. Of course, that's there. We build sites. Well, here's the other thing, and I'll leave it at this because it's almost an hour. But I'll leave it at this. So the other thing that you can do when you do things custom is not only can the front be custom, but also the back end, the admin areas can be custom. When you work with a Wix or you work with even a Shopify, the back end, the admin area is the admin area. And sometimes we do some custom work in Shopify. So we've got a lot of experience with Shopify as well. But there were situations where I'm like, this is how we got to do it. This is not intuitive at all. This is not an easy way to manage this content because you have to do things to extend it to translate a vision for a page or a section or whatever, putting some metadata in there that, you want to show up on the front end or whatever. Sometimes that is, you only can do things in a certain way. But now with WordPress, what I'm able to do is I'm able to leverage even plugins like Advanced Custom Fields, ACF, or creating our own, you can create our own meta boxes or whatever. But we're able to create custom admin areas, settings pages, or even in the editor, and have and design the settings in a way and the layout, a tabbed layout for different sections, and be able to make it really easy to manage existing content, but also add new content. So that is the other thing it can do for your clients, or for somebody that wants, that is thinking about a custom theme. You can have your developer or your custom team build things where it improves the user experience in the efficiency of things. I have projects in my head I'm visualizing, where we've done that, and it's amazing. It makes it so much easier, even on the blocks, using blocks and stuff in WordPress nowadays. You can create custom blocks and things to make it really easy to build out, certain types of content and stuff. So working with a custom team is great. And yes, it does. There is value in it. There is definitely value in having a custom situation. Well, this was fun. Wasn't this fun? I'm going to do this more often. I'm going to keep this as like a template. Maybe I'll feed my new buddy ChatGPT this once in a while to come up with more and more good questions. It's amazing, like going back to the beginning of this, you work with what you got, right? So, we work hard on social media. We're out there every day. We're consistent, but we're not your Gary V's or anything like that. We're not your guys that, live and breathe Twitter or post. I can't even do that, right? I can't. I'm not on Twitter all the time. I'm running a business. I'm not in the business of creating content. Maybe my content team grows over time and we'll do more and more, but we're at a stage where, okay, we're getting engagement and stuff like that. And it's beneficial what we're doing, but we're not at a stage where we can post something. Hey, and ask us anything. And maybe we have one person that asks. This time we didn't have any, as I predicted, but we have ChatGPT now. So I actually, I love this. And I really hope that someone listening to this really got a lot out of these answers. And hopefully I answered them well. It's hard for me to sometimes condense things down and censor them, because I could talk, like I said, about each one of these. I could probably build out a whole episode just on that. And so I try to keep it a little bit together here, but yeah, it's going to be a long one anyway. My VA gave me this. She's like, yeah, just, spend like 30 minutes, just make it a short episode and just answer some questions. Sorry, longer episode again. More for us to edit. All right. Well, I hope you found this interesting and insightful. That's always the goal here, is to provide you content that inspires you, that helps you in some manner. I want to have an impact on all of our listeners and our audience out there, because I know how hard it is. This is hard work. Building an agency is hard work. Building any business, even a freelance business or coaching, it's all hard work. You got to put in that hard work, but sometimes it's not always intuitive, and you need advice. You need somebody that's been there, done that. I've been there and done a lot already. So hopefully my lessons from the trenches translate and help you out. Till next time, take care of yourself. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already, and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page, provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.